There is a severe lack of comedies and original ideas coming out of Hollywood these days. In a sea of big budget prequels, sequels, and reboots, the occasional original idea seems to be rare, and the comedy movie is almost unheard of or instantly forgotten. While there have been plenty of comedies released in the last few years, nothing seems to have legs or be talked about for years to come, like anything made by Mel Brooks, Monty Python, or parody movies like Airplane. It's like they never happened. The latest comedy out is Self Reliance by Jake Johnson. So how will this movie do? Will it be remembered or forgotten? Jake Johnson is one of my favorite actors, and more specifically comedy actors working today. I do wish he was in more and had more success with his latest shows and movies. His portrayal as Nick on New Girl isn't going to keep his career alive forever. But in order to keep his career going, he needs to get more hits under his belt. Unfortunately, I don't think Self Reliance is going to be one of those hits. Although I did like this movie and smiled a lot, it wasn't really a belly laugh movie and it has its problems. Self Reliance is about a man named Tommy who is stuck in a rut and down on life. He has the same routine every day, lives with his mom, and was recently dumped by his longtime girlfriend. One day, he is picked up in a limo by Andy Samberg and taken to an abandoned building where he's offered to be a participant in a dark web game that involves being hunted down and killed. But if he survives for 30 days, he will win $1 million. The only real rules of this game is that he has to survive the 30 days, and he'll only be killed if he is alone. So, if he stays within like an arm's length of someone for the entirety of the 30 days, he should be able to survive and win. So Tommy accepts the game, thinking he can just stay with his friends, and this is the perfect opportunity to spice up his life and break up the monotony. Of course, his friends don't believe this story, and that the game is real, and don't stick with them. So he hires a homeless man to stay with him for 30 days, and also looks for other contestants of the game by putting out an ad on Craigslist. That's where he meets Anna Kendrick's character, Maddie, and they start to fall for each other. It's a unique story that has elements of like Squid Game, The Most Dangerous Game, and other like manhunt movies mixed in, but it's put into a comedy format. Since this is a comedy, let's address the obvious question first. Is it funny? Well, a comedy movie is extremely hard to judge objectively on if it's funny or not, and it highly depends on the person watching. That's why it seems like some well-known and loved comedies will get an average to surprisingly low score on sites like Rotten Tomatoes. Me personally, I did find it funny and laughed. It wasn't a great, side-splitting laugh. I smiled and chuckled more than anything. But if you like the usual type of comedy and character from Jake Johnson, then you will enjoy this movie. His character is thrown into a crazy situation while also being a little crazy himself, and is casually talking to his family and strangers like it's nothing, in a very, this happens every Tuesday, no big deal kind of way. There was a lot of random celebrity show up and did this wacky thing kind of stuff, which I found amusing and it didn't really get old for me. Tommy was doing crazy stuff to stay close to somebody, and that was entertaining, and his relationship with the homeless man was great. Overall, I would say that the comedy is good, and there is something that will at least make you smile. Now, as for the through-line story, it was well established, explained, and stayed pretty consistent throughout. The scene where Tommy is agreeing to participate in this dark web game didn't seem too far-fetched. It was made clear right away that Tommy wasn't a happy man. He didn't really have anything to lose, and he himself even told Andy Samberg that this game would be a good way to break up the monotony of his day-to-day life. The game master people were friendly and made it clear that no one would get hurt but Tommy, and the hunters start off somewhere else in the country, so, there is a chance that he could spend the entire 30 days and they wouldn't find him. It was the loophole of staying with someone the entire time that Tommy figured out that made him want to agree to the game. The performance from the actors and the way the game is described in vague detail but with specific benefits to the contestants makes it believable and that, this guy would actually agree to it. I also like that it's always just described as a dark web show. Like, people don't need more. They just hear the word dark web and go, okay, yeah, no, that's either a believable thing or dark web doesn't exist, whatever. They also did a good job showing how, the first few days of Tommy being a participant of this dark web show, they were pretty easy for him. He just went just day and day, just kind of like, was that real? Did the hunters show up? But then he would become more and more paranoid as the days went on. He would start looking over his shoulder more, being afraid that, these hunters could be real. And why haven't they showed up yet? Where could they be coming from? Could they show up now? And just him kind of just turning into this, oh shit, this is real. This is what I thought they did best with this movie, other than some of the comedy. Tommy was just getting sucked into the game, being paranoid about hunters, cameras, the production assistants, all that, but he was also enjoying it and becoming more motivated to actually win the game. There are things that didn't work as well, though. Since this is a comedy and the jokes rarely stop, when they try to make the hunters and the threat of murder have some tension and seriousness, it doesn't always work. Once the hunters do actually show up, it doesn't seem that threatening, and it seems pretty easy to avoid them. There are times that Tommy should have absolutely been killed if the hunters were actually any good at killing people. And it is implied that they are, since Tommy ends up being the only one to ever beat the game. And they could have definitely explored this game show, dark web stuff a lot more. They do eventually give you the name of the show and start to, show you how the game was tailor-made for Tommy, but this was just little nuggets of information that wasn't truly explored. The other thing that was a big part of this movie that wasn't fully explored was the romance between Tommy and Maddie. They meet and start to fall for each other very, very fast, both bonding over playing the game and having become participants because they were bored and lonely in life. Anna Kendrick did a good job, as she always does, with these quirky, romantic, comedy-like roles, but I feel like she was underused. They didn't even make them do the whole fall out, make up, do a kiss moment you would find in most romantic comedies. It felt a little unfinished, but not in a frustrating way, because they do a good character moment instead. At the beginning of the movie, after Tommy's longtime girlfriend broke up with him, he was too much of a coward to knock on her door and ask why and get closure. But after winning the game, he goes back to Maddie's house to get back with her, and although he does hesitate for a second, he realizes he's actually now brave enough to knock on the door. That is probably what makes this a more unique comedy with some romance in it. This movie is first a comedy, and second, could actually be argued as a character study. The romance and even the game are second fiddle to showing how Tommy grows and changes and makes more from his life. He was able to conquer a game that was designed to break him down, but instead, it made him stronger. He was able to move out of his mom's house, make a new good friend for life, and move on from his old girlfriend. He even meets a new girl and then gets closure with his dad, who abandoned the family when he was a kid. As the movie's title tells you, this is a comedy movie that is actually a good story about self-reliance. I would describe the movie almost as like a story Jake Johnson's character Nick from New Girl would be telling his friends. It has good comedic moments, a good amount of heart, and even some interesting character moments. But will this movie be remembered? Will it become a cult classic? I don't think so. I think you're gonna find plenty of people who go, it was good, it was okay, or it was unique, but I don't think it's gonna get talked about for years or even weeks to come. And audiences are forced to just keep waiting for a brand new, overly funny, cult classic comedy to come out. But if you want some escapism and to smile while turning your brain off and enjoying the ride, then check out Self Reliance. I think that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.